After I finished filming with Justin, it was time for me to head back to Canada. I had committed to a day of crabbing with some fantastic people I met during my last trip home.
I'm Travis.
I'm Tiffany.
Being from the Pacific Northwest, I've done my share of crabbing. So when I met these two at a MeatEater live show, I was intrigued when they told me about their unique approach to catching Dungeness crabs. Tiffany and Travis Bader do all their crabbing on foot. No traps, baits, boats, thievery, or sharp elbows required. I purchased a one-day saltwater license for $5.50, curious and honestly a little skeptical. Okay, what have you got going on here?
So we have a crab retriever. So you'll scoop into the water. The crab will want to grab onto this, and then you can easily measure the crab, retrieve it, put it in your bag if you want, or let it loose, and then you don't have to worry about crab's legs getting stuck in the net. This is our little crab invention.
We wasted no time in getting weighted up and heading out to chase that tide.
So Tiff, this is a new experience for me. I'm used to going and setting traps, which, by the way, everybody in Australia steals.
Yeah, no, that's why we do this.
Okay, so what exactly are we doing?
So we're walking out on the sand flat, and we're gonna follow the tide. And the crabs are coming up from under the sand. They're gonna start walking around to go out with the tide to stay in the water. And we're gonna try to find them and scoop them up with our homemade tennis racket crab catchers and throw them in our bags and then take them home and eat them.
While dip nets and most any scooping contraptions are allowed, anything sharp that might resemble a spear is illegal in British Columbia. This includes rakes and pitchforks. Dungeness crab can be orange or purple, so polarized lenses help to spot them if they're hiding in dark turtle grass or sand.
Because if you're looking into the sun where it's reflecting on the water and the weeds are coming towards you, it's kind of hard to see them. So you kind of want to go against that, the opposite, so you can see into the water a little bit better.
Okay, so it's like flats fishing.
In true sight fishing fashion, we kept the sun at our backs and hoped for low winds and uninterrupted water.
I hear you've got a couple.
I got 3 so far.
Woohoo!
I say 3 when I hold up 4 fingers. It's on the fence end. There you go.
Oh my goodness. Hey, they're nice size.
They're not too bad. They just meet. I almost had my 4th back there, but
Yeah.
it was about just a millimeter too small.
The Baders inform me that the Department of Fisheries and Oceans takes every millimeter of the regulations seriously. 1 millimeter undersize will get you booked.
I see one. That's one, right?
Yes, but I think it's dead. It looks like it might be upside down. Oh, no, there are 2.
Oh, it's 2, 3, 4, 2.
Here.
Wait, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's 2 of them mating, but maybe it was a little bit more exciting than that.
Why was the shell on one of it open?
I later found out that male crabs mate only with female crabs that have just molted, meaning they've shed their old exoskeleton. That's what we're seeing here.
What does that mean? Like, is it different?
So it's just molted.
Oh, it's just molted.
As a side note, soft-shell crab are fantastic to eat. Dungeness crabs typically grow to about 8 inches long. The BC regulations state that retained crabs must measure a minimum of 6.5 inches from each edge of the crab's hard oval-shaped upper shell, which is called a carapace. Female crabs must be released, and they're easily identified by the wide, round belly flap on their abdomen. Males have the same flap, except it's narrow and pointed. They thrive in cool water with a sandy bottom from as shallow as 6 inches to as deep as 250 feet.
I'll flip her around.
Wow.
It is a little delicate there.
Business.
Tiffany let me know that we'd have a better shot at larger crabs if we headed out a little deeper.
A little more intimidating.
It's super shallow for a long time. This is sort of the depth where you tend to find good size crabs.
A couple hours later, I was headed home with 4 crabs, and my brain was on fire. It could not really be that easy. A tennis racket and an IKEA bag? What? The water wasn't even that cold. Had I just been taught the most affordable, sustainable, family-friendly fishing activity that there is in British Columbia? And if so, how come I hadn't heard about it or figured it out myself? I researched BC's fishing regulations to try and find more information about hand-picking crabs. It didn't take long for me to realize why I had assumed crabbing could only be done with traps. The DFO's website clearly lays out tips on how to set a trap, choose gear, and mark buoys, but includes little information about hand-picking crabs. The website does, however, explicitly list hand-picking as a legal method of harvest. I feel a bit foolish about all the crabs I've purchased over the years now that I know I can quite literally drive down the street and fish one out with a tennis racket. So if you're like me, you may be kicking yourself that you didn't think to try this sooner, but I promise you'll forgive yourself once you get started. If it makes you feel any better, you can just drown your regret in a pot full of melted butter and freshly cracked crab legs.
Just a millimeter too small.
Okay, so every millimeter does count.
Well,
That's what she said. No, sorry. Okay.
He's got crabs.
Your husband.
Yeah, I know. I shouldn't say things like that on camera.